Do you know what home is? Don't worry, this is not a philosophical question. I'm just talking about video games, but not really comfort games, those I talk about them very often. I'm talking about those places or moments in the video games in which you always aim to return at some point, and every time you see them, you're just so glad that they just appeared. The obvious example that I can give you right now is the Dark Souls bonfire, or the inn in any MMORPG, but does every game have one of those save points? Does it only apply to single player games? Well, first of all, hola, this is Ox, and welcome or welcome back. One of the things that I love to do in video games that are open worlds, or at the very least not so linear, is try to find a spot to always return before putting it off, unless I wanna continue in that point the next time I play. This is something that I have been doing a lot lately in Wuthering Waves, in which I have 2 points in that game that I can call home. One is the one that, unless I change it in the future, I don't know, the one you're seeing on the YouTube thumbnail, which I will not explain why due to spoilers. And the second point is one of the new zones called Rinascita, I hope I pronounced that right, and it's simply because it brings me back to Assassin's Creed 2, a game that, funny enough, even though it has a home like Monteriggioni, since it was located so far away from everywhere in the game, usually, I would just go there to follow up on the story. I would either call any Leonardo da Vinci workshop a better home than the actual home. And the reason for this is because it just gives me a not only feeling of home in a video game, it also gives me a new side task to do that I made my own. But at the same time, a sort of customization. Eventually, if the game has a system for you to own a house, a farm, or even a town, even better. But when it doesn't, I'm not upset by it. In this type of games I mentioned, I always try to find it on my own either way. I'm gonna be a hypocrite here because I'll be honest, in my last video I talked about respecting your time in video games. And one of the mechanics that I hate the most that doesn't respect your time is the fact that you gotta go to an actual place inside the game to go and save your session instead of doing it on the pause menu. So why do I hate these points and also love them? The thing is, I don't think that mechanic in particular has to be tied on the game loop itself in every game we play. And there are games that I'm not even sure if they can have an actual physical, or well, technically digital, place for you to be in there and feel safe and comfortable. Which is also funny because there are games like any GTA game or Sleeping Dogs in which the place I would call home is not really any of the apartments or buildings those games have. It usually is the first neighborhood that you see when you wake up from bed. Just by repetition, those places feel like home to me, cause it's the first thing that I will see every time I enter the game again most of the time. The ones that stuck in my memory the most. Like, who doesn't remember Grove Street from San Andreas? Or when you used to look out for cheats for The Sims? Or when you used to put a like and a subscription on your favorite videos? Wait, no, there was no YouTube at that point, only Cartoon Network, Food Bash and Cloud Penguin. Which, speaking of, if a sound can be called home, it's probably this one. And like I said when I was talking about Assassin's Creed, there are some of those areas provided by the game that are so far away from the main experience that you don't even really want to return that often in the first place. But what about multiplayer games? Is there any of this stuff? Well, I'm gonna skip talking about open worlds again, because at this point it's applicable for those as well. But competitive games? Actually, there are a few. One of the things that I used to hate back in the day when I was playing fighting games was when they implemented and made you go through a lobby with an avatar with other people to play online. It was much more comfortable to navigate through the menu to just play a match. And while I still feel the same about comfort, I actually learned to appreciate a lot more those silly lobbies now. Whenever I'm playing Tekken 8 casually, I no longer really queue up from the menu. I go to the lounge itself just to see and share space with other people already, and has made my gameplay experience with that game a lot more comfortable and fun actually. Some people might say the Fortnite lobby feels like home to them, and I can't really relate with that because I usually spend lobby time either on the locker or the store. But it would be interesting to see a big lounge like those fighting games on Fortnite. You can say the pre-match works as one, and I like it, but it lasts too short to myself to call it a home. But one thing I have been saving up till now, it's what about the moments then? I feel like this point is gonna depend a lot on who you played with and what mood you were when you were playing that, but those moments actually are tied with nostalgia and joy. And sometimes you can try to replicate them, and it might work, but other times you simply can't. Minecraft on itself is a pretty lonely game that doesn't make you feel alone, even when you are playing on your own. But go back and play that server you used to have with your friends back in the day, and you will feel uncomfortable and melancholic. Sorry, I didn't want to make you feel depressed right now. Here, let me just give you PTSD instead.
Morning, traveler! Did you have a nightmare last night?
In competitive games, I have a theory that I want to share, but pick it up with a grain of salt. I feel like people expect everyone to be in a constant state of flow when playing online with other people. And that's because sometimes they can reach that point, but when you try to force it out, it just doesn't work. You cannot be constantly comfortable in being in a state of flow, especially for longer periods of time, due to dopamine and adrenaline that causes it. And I will be honest with you, I'm not gonna brag about what are my accomplishments in competitive games, but I had decent to pretty good ranks in a lot of those games that I played in the past, and the common factor was always the same. The higher my rank was and more skilled I was in those games, aside of maybe Rocket League and Overwatch probably, was related to being the most miserable I was feeling in real life at that moment. So this doesn't mean I don't have a competitive hunger every now and then, it's just that I stop actively trying to be consumed by it and call it home. Cause when my mood is good and I'm happy, trying to get better in this type of games doesn't act as a call to home to me. It acts as a reminder of how mentally draining and time consumer is the process. A process that when I'm on my lowest, I don't care, because whatever is not related to those type of games in my mind is way worse than the path of getting better in that game. See? Now you understand the mindset of a League of Legends player. At the end of the day, home doesn't have to be like an actual house or a space in a video game. It can be anything that makes you feel comfortable to return. A menu with your favorite soundtrack, an NPC that you sell all the trash to, or even just a moment in like those Halo 3 lobbies in Xbox 360 back in the day. Well, to be honest, I'm quite shameless trying to farm your nostalgia right now, because the last one I just heard a lot of it, because I had a PC back then, so I cannot really relate. But that's kinda the point, isn't it? We don't all share the same home in games, because what makes a place feel like home isn't how it looks, or what it does. It's when you were there, it's who you were back then, it's how it made you feel. So whatever your version of home is, I hope you find your way back there. And if you haven't found yours yet, keep playing, you will eventually get it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time.